Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk. Getting back on track, beating the Chicago Bears, improving to 5-2. Thank you for watching. It feels good to, like I said, get back on track, get back in the win column. That was a complete team win. That was being in control wire to wire. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. If you're seeing this video for the first time, please subscribe. Everyone else is. If you're a Rams fan, you definitely want to subscribe to the channel. Set your notifications on. For all the legacy subscribers, thank you so much for watching and for jumping on. For the new subscribers, thank you for joining the community. Everyone in between, I love you all. It's a great time to be a Rams fan. I mean, we needed this coming off the San Francisco game. Gosh, I think people were down and out after that one, but that was the most complete performance we have had all season. So yeah, I mean, even more than the Philly game or the Dallas game, this was good. And you know, I think the Bears are not as good as everyone thinks they are, or they thought they are. I'm going to talk about that a little later on, but before I get into the game recap, man, I just feel good. I woke up a couple times this morning just thinking about the game. But you can find me on Instagram at LA Rams Talk, Twitter, Real LA Rams Talk, the Flick app. Everyone who's been on the Flick app, I wasn't there yesterday during the game. I was asleep because I'm in Germany and it's many hours behind. But thank you for diving into that. If you want to check out the Flick app, it's like Discord for the game, for Rams fans. There's a Rams group there, so download the Flick app, get into the community. Got polls, all kinds of cool stuff. I'm also on Fan to Fan Network, so find me in all these places. So James Batkey, shout out to you. Rick Serio, shout out to you. You know who you are, and you know what you did. Bears fans were trolling hard. I gotta say this. Bears fans, you know, I get all kinds of fans every game. There are fans from the other teams. Buffalo Bills, super respectful. Even the 49ers fans were pretty respectful considering that's our rival. But the Bears, and this goes back to 2018 when I made a video about the 2018 game and we lost in the cold Soldier Field. Bears fans were trolling hard, big time, and it feels good. It feels good to shut you up. Now, Faizan from Five Sports Talk, nothing but respect for you, but some of your boys out there, bear down. Okay, cool, bear down. I mean, it's Chicago's not a great team. I'll tell you that right now. Great defense, or maybe. Anyways, a couple news and notes. Sammy Sloman has been let go. Just found that out on the Twitter. Samuel Sloman is no longer a Ram. Maybe they signed him to the practice squad, but I doubt it. So it's Kai Forbath time, and like I've said many times, the Kai's the limit, okay? Sam Sloman, you know, I hadn't been as down on him as some other people, you know, after San Francisco. You know, he's the reason we lost or cut his ass and all these things. And, you know, at the same time, he's a human, right? So you don't want to rejoice that someone just lost their job, but you know, I've never seen a kicker not miss field goals, but not just getting them blocked. Can't even get it over the line of scrimmage. I mean, it's like one arm was in the air, and that's the arm he hit. And this is the fourth block, maybe. I know he had 3 PATs that he couldn't get over the line in this field goal. And that's just, you know, that's 4 in the season. Extrapolate that over a full season, that's almost 9 kicks that don't even have a chance. That's inexcusable. I mean, there's just no reason for that. And to be honest, like this, I go back to when they picked Sam Sloman, and when they drafted him, I thought that was great. But, you know, they cited all of these things. Oh, he had all these under pressure kicks. He kicked in the elements, and he da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But no, like, is he just now not kicking it over the line? So, you know, I feel like all the praise they heaped on him and everything they said why he beat Lirim, Harulahu, and McGinnis, I think McGinnis, all of these things they said, you know, he has the bigger leg. He can kick it out of the end zone. He had 1 touchback yesterday in a indoor stadium. You know, but granted, special teams did really well in their coverage, and actually we won the field position battle in that way. by having Cordell Patterson bring it out. But like, if you just can't do, if you have a big leg and you can't kick it out of the end zone, and you're always getting blocked, there's no room for that. There's no room for that. Kai Forbath can get it over the line. At least when Kai Forbath's in the game, I'm not like, oh God, oh God. So Sam Sloman, I'm sorry you got cut, but you know, this is a merit-based business. Like all businesses, I guess, right? Unless there's crazy nepotism. Anyway, so Sam Sloman's cut, and I assume Tyrell Burgess is going to be placed on IR. That's what J.D. Long said. And, you know, this is the game when you're watching and you're going, oh, Tyrell Burgess, like, finally getting a shot, doing really well. He had 2 key third down stops. He had 2 stops on special teams. Cordell Patterson, he pinned a ball on the 10-yard line. He was doing great. And I had heard about the injury before I watched the game. So I was like, oh God. And everyone was talking about kind of how gruesome it was. And just seeing him bounce around the field, like me knowing what's about to happen to him, that was tough. But yeah, that really sucks. But I mean, we saw Nick Scott get into the game. Nick Scott was our rookie from last year. He was playing safety alongside John Johnson towards the end of the game. He was in a lot of those plays. So Nick Scott getting some play. And it'll be interesting to see how they handle that safety position, see if, you know, Juju Hughes comes up on the practice squad and how they shuffle that around. But if you look at the tail of the tape of this game, the Rams, like I said, they were leading. They were in control wire to wire. There was never any doubt. There, you know, you go back to the Dallas game, you're like, ooh. You go back to the Philly game, you could feel the momentum shifting. You know, Washington really was a wire-to-wire game. Wasn't worried about that. Giants, nail-biter in a way. Obviously, Buffalo and San Francisco. But this was the most complete, amazing performance they had this year. They had 10 more first downs than, than the Bears. They had 100 more total yards. They had more yards per play, more yards per pass, 110 more rushing yards, 5 minutes more time of possession. I mean, the fact that, you know, the Bears didn't even score an offensive touchdown. I mean, that's crazy. So there are 2 things about this game that I want to talk about. Two big things. Number 1 is balance. Always talking about balance. You saw me on Instagram yesterday, balance and everything, right? So the pass and the rush married was great. Although I feel like they should have run it a little more than they did. And then the other thing was defense, right? 3 points. The defense allowed 3 points. I feel like Brandon Staley, I mean, this was a revenge game in a way for Brandon Staley, not like he's seeking revenge or they did him dirty, but a revenge game for him and Leonard Floyd. You have to assume that he knows those players, he knows their capability, you know, at least on the defensive end. But what a show. I mean, what a show. And this is, I think, going into the season, myself, I was cautiously optimistic. I felt like Brandon Staley had it, but like, what was the learning curve? Did he have the personnel that he really wanted? And I wasn't quite sure about it at the beginning of the season, obviously with the COVID and people not practicing and everything. But they have the personnel, even guys dropping like flies, and they just went out and they just dominated. Granted, I will say this. I was going to wait till the end of the show to talk about my questions about this team moving forward, but I'm going to just say it right now because it's in total context. But if the Rams do this against Seattle, Arizona, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, I'm a 100% believer, right? People have a point when they say the Rams haven't played anyone and won. Dallas isn't as good as we thought they'd be. Granted, they had Dak Prescott at the time. Philly isn't as good as we thought they'd be. Obviously, Washington and New York, not that great. Chicago, after this game and like kind of going back in their schedule and looking at the teams that they've beat and how they've won, Chicago, I don't feel, especially offensively, is a good team. I think they are average at best offensively. So to me, you can only do what you can with the teams ahead of you, or in front of you, sorry. But there was nothing about the Bears offense that makes me think the Rams defense is like the great defense in all of football. If the Rams do this, or not 3 points only, but if they hold Seattle and these other teams, Tampa Bay, in check, then they're an elite defense this season. But on the flip side, I didn't think the Bears' defense was amazing. Or if they aren't amazing, then that just goes to show you how brilliant Sean McVay is in scheming around it. But let's still give credit to the Rams and what they did. 49 rushing yards, 279 net yards for the Bears, 4 sacks, under 5 yards per play, 4 for 13 on third down, 2 interceptions. The Rams right now are allowing 17.7 points per game, which is second lowest in the league. So, I mean, like, that's pretty awesome, but it's the level of the competition, right? 26 points. They've allowed 26 points. The defense has. I'm not counting the fumble recovery, Eddie Jackson off of Robert Woods in this game, but the 26 points in the second half this season, that's crazy. And it's like, I don't care who you're playing. That's crazy. So the adjustments have just been through the roof, and really the bend but don't break. I mean, how many times have we been complaining about soft zone? And yes, soft zone was stupid against San Francisco because San Francisco knew how to attack the soft zone. But AD with 10 pressures, I mean, he had a game. I mean, this was fun to watch defensively. And after all of these times, Nick Foles, when he was a Ram, when he was an Eagle, you just always felt like Nick Foles just had this magic. But I really feel like Nick Foles is Nick Foles. Like, we know who Nick Foles is. Nick Foles is a solid backup quarterback. He's a solid backup. Like, really, every time. Like, there's a reason why Philly said, no, Wentz is our guy. There's a reason why Jacksonville said, no, Gardner Minshew is our guy. Granted, a lot of that was like money related. And there's a reason why Chicago brought him in as a backup in case Trubisky melted down. And to be honest, Trubisky has played better than Nick Foles has. So Nick Foles, finally, we get the Nick Foles monkey off our back. But he's not great. He had, 2 interceptions? Now he has in his starting games this season, he has 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That's so Nick Foles. And I'm glad our defense, like, we weren't the 2017 or 2018 Rams and let Nick Foles do whatever Nick Foles did and work his magic. Now, I was on a collaboration with 5 Sports Talk a couple days ago leading up to the game, and he asked me what my bold prediction of the game was. And I said Leonard Floyd getting a sack. Well, I was wrong. He had 2 sacks. So that's great. And, I was thinking Hot Daddy Wags on Twitter said that it's possible that Leonard Floyd is a better player than Dante Fowler. And I know there's recency bias, and I haven't been watching all of Dante Fowler's reps this season, but I kind of get that feeling because, we didn't get Leonard Floyd to be a pass rusher. We didn't get him to be 11 to 12 sacks, million pressures guy. We got him to do that, but also to be a more complete player, setting the edge, funneling runners into the middle, like dropping back into coverage a little bit more. And I think he is a more well-rounded edge rusher, edge player than Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler probably fits best in a 4-3. I'm not sure, but I think, Leonard Floyd right now, 4 sacks. He's on pace to have 8 to 9 sacks this year. And, you get that from him plus everything else he does. And I feel, that's Leonard Floyd is doing what we got him to do. And it also goes to show. So this year he has half a sack more already through 7 games than he had all of last year. Coaching and situation has a lot to do with it. And change of scenery and motivation. There's so many intangible things. Not every situation is identical. So Leonard Floyd coming here, having Brandon Staley as a coach who knows Leonard Floyd, who can get the most out of him, put him in situations to succeed. Leonard Floyd having a chip on his shoulder saying, hey, I got to prove it. He's showing up. Also, he shows up on prime time. 11 out of his 11 sacks. He's had 11 sacks in 18 career primetime games. He's had 11.5 sacks in 43 day games. So I guess the next time we have a primetime game, Tampa Bay, then expect Leonard Floyd to to do very well. But good to see Leonard Floyd doing that. You know he was loving it when he sacked Nick Foles. Another player on defense that he didn't have amazing impact, but the one play, the 4th and 2, Tyrell Lewis giving Cordarrelle Patterson a 2-yard loss on that play, busting through on 4th down there. Really good to see Tyrell Lewis in there. He led the edge rushers in snaps, so he had 20, Ebukam had 16, Hollins had 15. Polite had a decent amount. I don't remember what it was, but Polite had a good amount. So good to see Tyrell Lewis in there getting some reps, and I feel like his rep total is gonna bounce on up. Hollins had a sack. Greg Gaines got in there for half a sack. Another guy I thought who did really well, and Rams fans are all over this guy, is Troy Hill. Troy Hill, you look at that interception. To me, that interception in the red zone, in the end zone, was the play of the game. Troy Hill had great coverage, turned around, put his hand in there, knocked it. Taylor Rapp gets the credit for the interception, his 3rd in his career, but that was all Troy Hill. That was 100% Troy Hill. And that's kind of like what happened. That was like the backbreaker that happened against us in San Francisco when Goff threw it in there, Verrett had the interception. It was a backbreaker. And that, I feel, is what happened. And that was Troy Hill. And Troy Hill, I feel like, was second on the team with 7 tackles. Micah Kaiser had 8. Micah Kaiser was serviceable. He was good. Didn't stand out or anything, but he was solid. But Troy Hill, really good job, Troy Hill. Darius Williams also made some big plays. He was called for that PI. I thought was a little questionable. Yeah, he wasn't looking back, but he was in great position. He's had some penalties against him this year, but you look at him and he doesn't, other than that play against George Kittle, he's not getting burned. You look at Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey been on 2 plays, and if Foles can connect with him, Jalen Ramsey's getting burned, right? Darius Williams not ever really getting burned. And then he had that great play in the end zone, breaking up that pass, diving in there and getting it. I love our corners. Jalen Ramsey with the pick. Jalen Ramsey on that awesome 3rd down hit with, Wims. And, going down to 3rd and 9, and Wims goes there. And Ramsey has another one of his patented lower the pads hit and knocks the guy out right at the sticks. So great. And that kind of, the Rams were the more physical team. I was going to talk about that when I mentioned what Malcolm Brown did to Roquan Smith, but the Rams were the more physical team. This is what I was talking about. Their backs were against the wall. They came into this game thinking like, if we don't execute, we're better than the Bears. And if we don't assert ourselves, they will win. But no more of this finesse crap about the Rams. I don't want to hear it. Our offensive line outplayed their defensive line. Our defense outplayed their offense. We did what Jalen Ramsey is like 200 pounds. And he's laying hits. We were the more physical team in this game, and it showed. John Johnson was everywhere. I mean, I hope they find some money. we can pay John Johnson next year because you keep him. You have Fuller. You have Burgess back. Obo. Anyway, now I'm going to wrap it up here for the defense. No way, Sean Robinson. Maybe we'll get him against Miami. Maybe not. Maybe he'll come back in a week, 2 weeks after the bye. So yeah, defense. What can you say? But like I said, let's see what they do when we play the big boys, the big offenses. Now going back to the other thing that is I think the biggest key in every game we play is balance on offense. This game we had 33 passes. 34 rushes. And when I say rushes, that's Jared Goff, that's Kupp, that's Woods, that's Brown, that's Henderson. So everything together, 34 rushes. I want to say we had 25 carries from running backs. So I'll still take it. However, I still feel like the Rams should have run the ball more. Darrell Henderson, every time he was getting the ball at the beginning of the game, the first 3 quarters, it felt like he was breaking off 5, 6, 7, 8 yard runs like all the time, or he was getting burst. He was making something happen out of nothing. And even though he's a small guy, Sean McVay said he's like a beer keg, and he's not afraid of contact. Darrell Henderson will get it, and so I just was like, I felt like they were handing the ball off to him, and every time he was running, we were getting nice size yardage, chunks of yardage, at least 5 yards a carry. And then in the fourth quarter, when we were going to more cautious running out the clock, then he was getting stopped a lot more because they were stacking, like they knew what was coming. But I just was like, feed Henderson. Like, just feed him. Give Henderson 20 carries. 20 carries. Malcolm Brown, 10 carries, 57 yards. That one play where he pushed the pile and everyone got into it. Like, you know, you see, it's not just the physicality, but it's like the team buy-in of the physicality. You know, Jared Goff even got in on that pile. Gerald Everett, like, that was beautiful to see. And then Malcolm Brown goes up the middle, Roquan Smith, the collision in Malcolm Brown pushed him back. And like Roquan Smith's a bigger dude. He's the physical Bears linebacker out of Alabama. And Malcolm Brown won that. You know, that's like some kind of like college practice game that they always have, like two guys square off and go. And that's a physicality. And you could tell when he was like, kind of like, get off of me to Roquan Smith, and you're like, yeah, the Rams are bringing it. They're more physical. And Malcolm Brown, like, let's just give Malcolm Brown respect and Darrell Henderson respect. And yes, we have Cam Akers. And there's no room for him right now. Unfortunately. He had a couple snaps, but like he's not really needed. Like, we have good running backs. Malcolm Brown, I have no problem with Malcolm Brown getting carries. We don't have to give Cam Akers carries just because he's the shiny rookie. Running backs get injured. Cam Akers will get his time. And if it's not this year, it's next year. We don't have to force it. It's a luxury. It's a luxury to have Cam Akers. Is Dobbins running crazy? Jonathan Taylor is a little bit more because Marlon Mack is out. But who are the other, okay, Hilaire, but, you know, with Le'Veon Bell in there now. Swift is just finally coming around. Like, rookie running backs aren't, like, taking the NFL by storm this year, so let's just all chill on that. I thought that we could always run more. Always run more. And McVay needs to battle his inner demons. As a buddy said on Instagram, messaged me, he's fighting himself internally. And so he needs to know that running is the way to go. Running is his salvation. The Bears allowed 3 total touchdowns in the last 3 games. And then they allowed 3 3/4. So Bears fans, please don't come at me and telling me that your defense is elite. If your defense is elite, then our offense is eliter. Just saying. Our O-line gave up 1 sack and helped pave the way for 161 rushing yards. So, O-line. Like, I mean, yes, running backs, yes, Goff, yes, receivers, O-line. And tight ends helping out. Can't say, I don't have the individual grades, but that was, the O-line was great, right? Goff, highest passer rating. The Bears in their 6 previous games, and then playing the Rams for the 7th game, Jared Goff has the highest quarterback passer rating of any of the QBs that played against the Bears by 20 points. No one comes close. That's Brady, that's Matt Ryan, that's Matt Stafford, Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater, Daniel Jones. Jared Goff has the highest passer rating by 20 points. So even though we didn't line it up, 216, 219 yards, what is it here? 219 yards, 2 TDs. You know, no mistakes, no turnovers, especially about, you know, how he played against the Bears in the past. No touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So now he's 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions against the Bears. Complete, I mean, this is what you need. Take care of the ball, be effective, be efficient. He missed some throws. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But it looks like after a while he settled in, and then he was making completions. Gerald Everett, great fullback, tight end, catching passes, blocking. Gerald Everett was great. Johnny Munt, he had 3 catches for 47 yards. He had come into this game 36 career receiving yards. So he had more than that in just this one game. So Johnny Munt, great. I love it when these guys that don't really see a lot of primetime action get a lot of love. I love to see that. Bryson Hopkins was active, but he didn't play. Josh Reynolds, we overlook Josh Reynolds all the time. I feel like we need to start the hashtag Free Josh Reynolds. Second game in a row with a touchdown. He had the most reception yards of any Ram. He was targeted the most 8 times. 3 of his catches were for first downs. That play, you know, when they came out of the huddle, they practice that where they sit in the huddle and then they run up the line and then they go. And they practice that before the game. And that was to Josh Reynolds, where Buster Skrine, he couldn't get to the edge in time to cover Josh Reynolds. But Josh Reynolds, has he dropped a pass? Has he made a mistake? Josh Reynolds has been lights out. And I really, you know, he was a guy we all had high hopes for when they drafted him. So, loving Josh Reynolds there. The red zone, the Rams were 3 for 4 in the red zone. Remember the Bears in their, like, amazing red zone defense? Well, not no more. Anyways, that was due for a regression, and I'm glad we converted in the red zone. I feel like that's always been a weakness of ours. So, offense played really well, except for the Robert Woods fumble. And Robert Woods is maybe his second game, you know, where he had that that pass against San Francisco that he didn't handle. But, you know, Robert Woods also played well. Cooper Kupp had some good plays in there as well. So the offense looked good. It looked clean, getting the ball out, good game plan, good motion. Everything just looked very nice. Darrell Henderson needed probably like 5 more carries. If I'm going to pick some nits, that's what I'm going to pick. Now, things I didn't like, Sloman's on here originally. I had him on here, but he gone. The Goff fumble on 3rd and 2. So remember when Goff fumbled and then it was that Corbett landed on it? Well, that was 3rd and 2. Could have run the ball there. Just saying. Granted, the box was pretty stacked, but, you know, the run was working. The Woods fumble didn't like. The screen pass on 3rd down to Gerald Everett. Why? Why are we still doing these screen passes on like a critical 3rd down play? Actually, sorry, I know why. And it's because Sean McVay is so risk-averse on these plays. So, anyways, I didn't like that. Goff missed some throws early and wasn't totally accurate. He missed Malcolm Brown on that 1st down over on the left sideline. J-Ray, that deep ball. Now, if Goff throws that more, then that could be a touchdown. J-Ray had the inside step. The other safety wasn't over there. And he had to, like, hold up and kind of go back and get it. If that ball's thrown, if it's placed, then that's a touchdown or a long gain. And then the Woods overthrow. Plus, he had a couple wobblers, a couple bad passes at the end of the half. I don't want to see, when there's a minute to go, we have the ball on our own 20. I don't want to see Air Goff trying to score a touchdown, drive the field in like that 1 minute. Because I feel like we're always making mistakes in those situations. Just run the ball, get into halftime. We had the lead. Questions. Like I said, questions is our defense. Can we play against the big boy offenses? And also pocket passing game. Granted, this defense was, you know, the secondary is top notch, and we had, you know, we mitigated their pressure with Mack and Akeem Hicks sometimes, and then even Robert Quinn, Medicine Man. But can Goff sit back there if we needed to, just sit back there and sling? I don't know right now. So those are my questions going forward. Going to be an interesting week with Miami coming up. Now I got to move on to that game. Going to do a collaboration with their guy, with the Miami guy this week as well. That's an early game on Sunday. So they got to fly to the East Coast. That's going to be tough. But once they're done with that, then I think they have one more trip east for their 5th trip east. And that's going to be 2 weeks after the bye against Tampa Bay. But anyways, that wraps it up. I know I forgot some things. But, you know, there's only so much time here. And I appreciate you watching. Like I said, if you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you made it this far and you are subscribed, gold star next to your name. Hit me up on Instagram, DM me, whatever. Like I said, LA Rams Talk, Twitter at Real LA Rams Talk, the Flick app. Go on there. You'll check it. You'll know what I'm talking about. Really cool. We got at least 60+ people in there now in that group. Fan to Fan Network. And yeah, you can go ahead and cue the music, Johnny Munt. And yeah, feeling good. I know we're all feeling good. Not much to complain about. Tyrell Burgess, that pretty much sucks, but like I said, sky's the limit. So thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Rams.